Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's special edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And I'm calling this one with a slight hesitation on special because it's going to take us into a realm that perhaps you've heard about or played with a little bit, but you're going to be taken on a journey. And there's going to be a process for that journey, but opening up the conversation, some of the wisdom behind it, some of the information that's here for us during this initiation is really going to expand consciousness and allow that space that's ready to receive us as we open up to receive it. So it's going to be a beautiful call as Dana Micucci talks about shamanic secrets for shapeshifting into greater fulfillment and well-being. And on this call, we're going to go through lots of different things, but some of them are, we're going to be talking about rapidly clearing energetic blockages and distortions, moving back into balance and ignite deep healing on all levels and gaining more clarity for your unique gifts and soul mission, how to raise your frequency and master your energy to be of greater service, shape shifting into higher level divine creator capacities. And these are all shamanic capacities. And in the traditions, the shamanic realm was saved for those who perhaps can access other realms, other forms of consciousness that the group couldn't. But we're in a different time now. And Dana's going to talk about the capacities that are emerging within all of us, what these initiations do for us, how you can access the power that is being ignited through these initiations, and then how we walk our path, our shamanic path, our human path, our path of love with these new shoes, with these new eyes to see through, and with this greater understanding of the implications of the power of our love. So I'm so excited about this call. Dana also has, well, she's going to take live Q&A. So if you want to ask her your personal questions, raise your hand. Part of Dana's special offer, and the link is already in the chat box if you want to check it out now, it includes a 30-minute session plus other amazing processes that are included in a couple of packages that are offered there. But again, if you know that you want to have a one-on-one, you want to get on the book soon, you may want to go ahead and check that out now. And again, we'll get into more detail on that a little bit later in the show. So a little bit more about Dana. So Dana is an award-winning author, healer, and catalyst for self-mastery. Dana's latest book, The Third Muse, is a metaphysical time travel mystery that celebrates the divine feminine wisdom of the Magdalene order and the healing power of love. Her spiritual travel memoir, Sojourns of the Soul, One Woman's Journey Around the World and Into Her Truth, a gold winner in the Nautilus Book Awards, was inspired by her travels to many of the world's most sacred sites. Both books offer a heart-centered message for our time. Now, Dana has enjoyed a decades-long career as a widely publicized journalist writing about culture, travel, and spirituality for the New York Times, International Herald Tribune, Chicago Tribune, Spirituality and Health, and many other well-known publications. She's a dynamic speaker and teacher and practitioner of ancient mystery school wisdom. And she conducts transformational talks and workshops and retreats, sacred journeys worldwide. And she also has a private healing and mentoring practice rooted in her extensive shamanic training. And we get to have Dana here to impart all that wisdom, all that gold that she has accumulated and embodied on Beyond the Ordinary today. And Dana, it's with that I want to welcome you to tonight's call. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, John. It's always a pleasure to be with you and your listeners. And I was really excited for the call tonight. Yes.
I was really excited when I read the topic that you wanted to talk about. Again, the shamanic initiations, opening to that, because it's very much, I carried that shamanic energy a lot, and it's been something that's been growing with me. Well, it feels like it's part of my lineage. It just feels so natural for me. But over the last few months, it's really coming to life, even more so than in the old way. It's ignited, and there's an ownership that wants to be awakened in it. And why shamanic for you? Why is this coming up in your consciousness at this time?
Right. This has been a path that I've been walking for a long time. And I love what you said earlier about sharing our love, because I feel that this is now more than ever where it seems that the world is so polarized and divided. Apparently, at the higher level, all is well. All is always well. The shamanic path is all about relationship. It's about connection and balance and harmony and reciprocity. So at a time when the world appears to be so disconnected, this path can help to heal what has been broken, okay? What feels to have been broken, not only in ourselves, but in the world. And I feel that more and more people are aligning with shamanic wisdom, which is an ancient wisdom, but it's also very contemporary because all of us have this archetype within us. We can all tune in to our own shamanic abilities. And that comes out in many different ways, whether it's through ritual and ceremony, an earth-based celebration of spirituality, right? Where we come into deeper connection with Mother Earth, with the nature spirits, with all of life, with each other, with the higher guiding force that is always conspiring on our behalf, as I say, with ourselves. It's a path of deep intimacy. And I feel that this is what people are craving now, you know, and it's all about moving into a deeper celebration of life and all that is life affirming, and moving away from that which is not of direct experience. It's a revelatory path. I call the shamanic path the path of direct revelation. And it happens through the heart, which you touched on, John, in your introduction, when you said, you know, this is a time when we're moving deeper and deeper into that unitive space within where our divine love flows out into the world.
Right.
And so shamans live in and through their heart. Many of the great mystics of the ages, including Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and I've done shows about them, and many of the others really were shamans, you know? A shaman is a messenger between the worlds, between the physical world and the spiritual world. And they travel freely between dimensions to retrieve information, which is light and energy, and they bring it back into this world for healing and restoration, whether on an individual or collective level. So
it's so beautiful. And I love that it's bringing in, and the way that you describe the shaman characteristics. And for many people, that shamanic label as an archetype for them seemed like it didn't belong to them, like it only belonged to a certain few or certain special.
Right.
Why is it becoming more normalized now? What's happening?
Well, what's happening is I think that people, as we connect more and more, as our frequency raises, right, on this new earth ascension journey, it's that people are reclaiming their ancient gifts and powers. They're coming more into the fullness of who they are, their true divine power and purpose, realigning more with their higher calling, gaining more clarity. So anyone who is in touch with their intuition, with their heart, a heart-centered way of being in the world, embodying the wisdom of the heart, who has maybe now in touch or has been for a long time in touch with their psychic powers, healing visions, prophetic dreams. You know, a lot of this is coming up now to the surface with so much of the higher frequencies on the earth, from the cosmos, from the sun. The sun is a huge ascension accelerator. And we are all rapidly, as we know, and we've been doing this for a long time, spinning off density. You know, it's like you throw the clothes into a washing machine, and then if it goes so fast, the clothes start to fly out. And so as our frequency begins to rise, then the more and more we become in touch with this, as you said, archetypal energy within ourselves, which is the energy of the shaman. And it's one thing, John, I think that is so important is I also call it the path of divine embodiment.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Embodiment, which is where we celebrate our sacred sensuality. the sacred sensuality of Mother Earth, the nature spirits, the spirits of the land, the ancestors of the land, all of life as all the ancient indigenous cultures felt and lived in a sacred web of connection. So now, as the old dissolves, as we see it, the old paradigm dissolving, which it must be in order to usher in the new, we are individually and collectively going through what is called a shamanic death and dismemberment of a former way of being, right?
Yeah, we're definitely upgrading into that. And so as we go through that, we're also upgrading the way that we ascend. It's like the process of the ascension compared to 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, there's an upgrade happening in that as we embrace this. So how is it, Dana, that we go from healing, which is what we've been doing for so long in these communities, to actual space of wholeness? And you also call it, you go into going from seeker to shaman,
right?
And to shape shift into the next level of your multidimensional mastery.
Right. And we are all now, those of us, I mean, this is available to everyone, okay? Those of us and all of your listeners who are consciously working, right, on behalf of the light, who have stepped willfully on to this path of ongoing inner expansion, spiritual evolution, which is infinite. We are coming into greater contact with our multidimensional gifts. It is not, you're right, it is not an exclusive realm. We are now having and being called to trust more in ourselves, which is moving from seeker to shaman. So to trust, to surrender, to be so present. And I feel that presence is really, it seems like such a platitude, but it's a very underrated quality, because this is where all of our shamanic abilities is
presence.
We are most present in the moment, and that is how we move from seeker to shaman, where we move into our multidimensional self-mastery. And so much of it is it's like an allowing. We don't have to try to make anything happen anymore. We're allowing more of our divine feminine nature to come to the surface, to guide us. And that's in men and women,
right?
Which is more receptive. But we want the balance. And so all of the ancient indigenous cultures were all about creating more balance, more wholeness, and more connection within themselves, with each other, and with the invisible and visible worlds.
Well, it's in that presence that you actually attune to your environment, you come into integrity. So for me, when you talk about presence, it's a quality of regalness. It's a quality of command. It's a quality of that refined space that can then flow with the organic calling of what's evolving within itself. And the call for me during the shamanic presence, during, again, this regal energy that is arising, is really a call of leadership, a call of awakening that shamanic, yes, that is me, and remembering who you are.
That's right. It is all about remembering and awakening more and more to that shamanic archetype that is alive with all of us and always has been. And so much of presence is about moving into, so it's healing. To be present is very healing for oneself and others, because we move deeper into a state of inner integration. And to heal means to be made whole, to come back into balance. And so when we are fully present, we're in our hearts. And when we're in our hearts, we're grounded in our bodies. And so we don't have to be so out there, which is wonderful as all of our higher energy centers continue to open and expand, but we want to ground it in. And this is what's so important. And it may seem, I don't know, it may seem simple, but it's really not. It's about a moment by moment remembrance, as you say, and bringing your attention back to your heart so that you can ground in these higher frequencies, right, and be the shaman that is needed in the world today. And the shaman creates healing. The shaman anchors healing. They shapeshift transform, right? A community
Mhm.
and themselves.
Well, and part of the shaman energy also, there's in all the healing and the seeking and the searching for our identities and who we are and where we come from, there's an underlying current of lack of safety
Right.
that runs from that. And when we get into the remembrance of we are, that regal energy, the shamanic characteristic that can anchor it all in, safety doesn't become a concern. There's no need for the thought of safety in that presence. And there's a freedom in that that liberates all those parts of ourselves that are splintered out for the integration of the soul aspects that may have tinkered out because of some type of trauma that was perceived that I didn't think it was safe to come back into. So going into these practices, into the awareness, and again, we're going to go through a process here with Dana, a shamanic journey in a little bit. So y'all going to want to hang out for that. And Dana is going to take live calls. So raise your hand if you want to get in live calls. But past that presence of safety, there's something underneath that is so alive and wanting to give to us.
Right. Right. And that is the feeling of being so aligned with the life force of creation, right? And all of the ancient societies celebrated this ecstatic connection that they had with all of life, with nature, with the rocks, the plants, the trees, everything around them. And they were in constant communication with this life. So it was really an ecstatic, orgasmic experience of being alive. And that has to do with reigniting our joy. And that always brings me back to the heart and the high heart ascension gateway. Because that is where, when we shift our attention, and John, I've just been shown so many times, we have so many tools at our disposal, all of us on the ascension path. And for me, it comes down to one simple practice, which is about where is my attention in every moment.
Yeah.
So the shamanic path is a very elegant path of simplicity. And it's about choice, which is about choosing where to put your attention. And if your attention is always centered on your heart and high heart ascension gateway, as I said, you're grounded in your body, you're fully present. And when you're fully present, you've let go of the past. There are no memories or sufferings or struggles of the past that can come in to cloud your vision or agitate your heart. And you've also let go of any worries or anticipations of the future. And so we become in a state of childlike joy and awe and wonder.
Two of my favorite words.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, talking about coming to life, there's also this concept of experiencing a shamanic depth.
Yes.
And I want to get into that in a second, but I don't want to forget. Can you give us a little bit more of an explanation of what that high heart ascension gateway is?
Yes. So the high heart ascension gateway, for me, the high heart is that place of unity where we make the two into the one. And because I work so closely with the Essenes and with Yeshua and Magdalene, he talked about making the two into the one. One of our great mystics and shamans, he was. And that is a place of complete healing, of complete integration, where we move beyond separation, the us versus them, and the enemy patterning, and the either or, and all of that we see playing out in this unreal world around us. Because we know, and this is one of my favorite lines from A Course in Miracles, nothing real with a capital R can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists, right? So that high heart ascension gateway is where, when we are fully present, we are able to integrate all of the dualities of this duality paradigm. They collapse, they integrate, they join. It is the union of opposites. It's the sacred intermarriage, which is a foundational practice in all the world's mystery schools. And even the indigenous peoples practice this, although they did not have the same words for it, right? The Hyros Gamos, the sacred intermarriage. We've heard those words. And people say, well, that's great. How do I perform the sacred intermarriage? Well, for me, there's no roadmap. The roadmap is what I said earlier. noticing where your attention is in every moment and making the choice to shift it back to your heart center. So when you're fully present and in that high heart ascension gateway, the eye of the needle of the ascension, then you are in a place of unity, wholeness, and healing.
Yeah, it's not something that we acquire, it's acquire, it's something that we be, and remembering to be that, remembering to be that, remembering to be that, which then actually patterns the brain, and we get into critical thinking with the high heart instead of chaotic mental activity that separates us from that state of being.
So true, John. Thank you for bringing that up. That's what happens. All of us, we can get caught up in our heads and then distracting thoughts and all of the dramas, quote, out there, and I always say that, and I've said this before on your shows, just the constant reminder, it's very simple, but it's to remember, as you say, drop out of your head and into your heart, because that's what separates us from that unified field where there is only love, there is only connection. And shamans, and this is why shamanism is becoming so much more part of our contemporary life for those of us, especially on the ascension path, because that is the path of the heart. That is the path of wholeness and integration, connection, and relationship.
So beautiful. So as we get into the relationships, again, I want to get into this concept of shamanic depth and your definition about that. So that it's a term that seems pretty dire,
right?
But it can be so beautiful with the right mindset.
Oh yes, and all of us have been through countless shamanic deaths, and even more graphic word, dismemberment. Which is, I remember in my shamanic training going through that, and it is really a wild experience. And you can equate it with even a lot of the teachings from the Far East and the Bardo teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, where we continually move in and out. It's like that interim state between dying to the old way of being and coming more into a fuller expression of who we really are. And because this ascension path is one of infinite expansion, there are countless shamanic deaths and dismemberments. And by that, it's simply the dismembering of the old. So if you can look at it metaphorically, and that happens through initiations. And you and I were talking about initiations, and we said, what used to be challenges or what used to feel difficult, we now can call initiations because they bring us into greater self-mastery. They advance us further along our ascension. And initiatory experiences traditionally in the ancient indigenous societies were a hallmark of the shaman, of a shamanic way of life. And for the traditional shamans, it was said that they had to go through a grave illness and come to the brink of death, of physical death, or go through a psychological crisis, which is more identifiable for us today. And so I'm sure all of your listeners can say, wait a minute, I have had so many of these initiations who have brought me to the edge of who I knew myself to be.
Yeah.
And then the word initiation even means to go deep inside knowledge. And that is the knowledge of the self. And so you use the word refining, right? Refining and sustaining. And so we keep sculpting this more authentic, this more pure expression of the self. And we all have had these initiatory experiences. I'm sure, we could talk about a number of them. And there were times in my life when I really did, not necessarily through an illness, but through some very dangerous experiences where that could have been it, and I had to trust. I really had to trust and call upon, all of that inner strength, but move into that unitive space of what I call crystalline neutrality, which is the high heart ascension gateway, detaching from all outcomes. Oh. And when we follow our feeling nature, which comes from the heart, right? The mind agitates the heart. We want to drop out of that. Follow our feeling nature and our intuition. We're walking the path of the shaman. We're activating that archetype within us.
Right. As we walk that path, Dana, what is actually, if that role of the shaman, what is shamanic healing then? And then what's the role in that healing for the modern day shaman?
Yes. Well, shamanic healing is about connecting with your multidimensional aspects. Okay, so traditionally a shaman, but this is what everyone can practice if they feel called to this path to activate that archetype. Traditionally, a shaman would travel through non ordinary reality between the dimensions to the spirit world, to higher dimensions. And as I mentioned, retrieve information, which is light and energy, to bring healing and restoration to an individual or a community. So to heal is to come back into balance. And the shamanic cultures believed that all dis-ease, which is can be a physical illness, it can be a mental illness, as we know, it could be a psychological crisis, it could be emotional imbalance, that this results from a loss of energy or a loss of power, right? And even the loss of a part of one's soul. And so some of the traditional ways that shamans healed is that they would do a soul retrieval and travel through these dimensions in non-ordinary reality in an altered state and bring back these fragments of the soul that fragmented off due to great trauma, and then reintegrate that into the energy field of a person. And so it's about retrieving these lost parts of yourself. And the word remembering, we remember the shamanic dismemberment. So we're remembering these lost parts of ourself. I mean, people can have spontaneous soul retrievals, for example, at sacred sites, which I'm sure you've had, right? Yeah. And, you know, all of a sudden it's just, wow, we're standing in this power vortex and everything makes sense. And we might have a vision of ourselves in the past or in the future, and a piece of our soul automatically returns to us. Mm-hmm. And that is when we are in that place of allowing, of discovering and allowing.
There's an innocence in that.
Yeah. And, you know, ceremony and ritual are healing. It's a way to connect more deeply with the what I call the enchantment of the land, the sacredness of Mother Earth and the nature spirits and the elements and everything, each other. So we can come into greater wholeness through ritual and ceremony, which is, in a way, what you're doing, John, is a sacred ceremony. Because you're gathering all of these light workers in a sacred circle of light, you know?
Don't give away my shaman secret.
Right. And yeah, and that's it. And so there are so many ways that we act as shamans in our daily lives that we may not even be aware of. So, for example, if anyone out there, which I know I feel this way, you probably do, John, if you feel like a bridge, you feel like you're bridging the old and the new, right? And ushering people, assisting them really across the bridge as a guide.
Yeah.
The whole new earth, which is here, is simply that the more that we focus and place our attention on it in a community of light like yours, then the sooner it becomes made manifest in our physical reality. Mm-hmm. The sooner our outer circumstances rearrange themselves to reflect a greater state of wholeness within each of us. Mm-hmm. And that is really, I mean, the simple act of intention and attention is a shamanic practice. Because when you do that, you shapeshift circumstances.
And that's where I was going to get to. As we shapeshift, we're creating different outcomes, but how do we actually shapeshift? I mean, I know that you've been talking about it. Is there a process that you use? Is there something practical that the listeners can have an awareness of, that they can start utilizing to invigorate that shamanic capacity within themselves to create the outcomes that they're looking for?
That is a great question. So, shape shifting, we'll go back first to the traditional shamans, and we've all heard stories of shamans, whether from the Peruvian Amazon or Ecuador or wherever, all around the world, the indigenous societies, that some of these very skilled shamans could literally shapeshift simply means to transform from one state to another, right? Or one way of being into another, as we would say in our lives now. So some of these shamans, there have been stories that they could shapeshift into a jaguar, into a bat, into a rock. And you say, whoa, how is that possible? You know, and shamans have said that there are two major things that we need to do to shapeshift. So in our present day circumstances, we may not want to shapeshift into a rock or a jaguar. So let's say we're shapeshifting our lives, right? We want to shapeshift into a new line of work, a new form of sacred expression in the world, sacred service, a new relationship, greater health and well-being. So the shamans say that one of the major keys to shapeshifting is to act as if, we've always heard this, is to remove ourselves from the process of becoming and to be and merge with that which we want to create, with the outcome, right? In the attitude of already having received. And we've heard this in different arenas in different ways, but this is one of the keys to shapeshifting is we, like you said this earlier, we are that. We are not wishing to be it. We are not wishing and hoping for a new job or a new partner. We are that, having already received it, right? With gratitude. And another thing that the shamans say is really essential for shapeshifting in the context that we're talking about, in which they used in their own context, is to be a very keen observer of everything around you in every moment, which involves being truly present in the here and now. And so, for example, let's say a shaman, a traditional shaman, wanted to shapeshift into a jaguar for whatever reason. A jaguar is a powerful shamanic totem. He or she would observe every aspect of the jaguar, its behaviors, its movements, every little thing about the jaguar, until in the act of observation, he or she became one with the energy of the jaguar. And I know this is so far beyond even, maybe believing that that could happen, but I certainly do believe that shamans have done that. And so for us in our realm, let's say we're not going to do a physical shape shifting. Let's say we want to shape shift into greater health and well-being, optimal, divine, perfect health. So we observe every aspect of what we would look like, what we would feel like, how we would operate, how we would move through the world, who we would relate to, how our lives would change. Every single specific detail of that outcome, we keep observing it, right? As we align with our observer self, which exists outside of space-time, in the realm of infinite possibility in the unified field. So therefore, then we create, or a word that has been used as manifest, precipitate, and magnetize to us that which we want to create, which is really about being it, like I said earlier. So those are two big steps in the shape-shifting process.
Yeah. And again, we use the words to get there also. And again, the word that we used earlier in the call is that refinement. We go into the refinement, the paying attention, that
yes,
they're really whittling down into that pristine state that's like something new opens up. But it's this beautiful unfolding of how it happens. It's not this like this horrific birth that goes. It's just this fluidity,
right,
that occurs in that space.
Such a great word. It is fluidity. It's organic. It's, it happens because of our intention and our attention and our willingness to reverse our perception of what appears to be our reality now. But that also comes back to the earlier part of our call when we talked about reclaiming our power.
Yeah.
And when we stand in that power, we are continuously refining and honing ourselves into that more perfect, authentic expression of who we really are, who we have always been.
Right.
Really.
And the worries, the fears that people won't show up, we won't be understood, or we won't be met, that we'll go hungry, that we won't achieve our dreams, all that is just, it becomes this thing that just, again, just whisk away.
Right, right. All of those worries, all of those fears. And sometimes, people say, well, I don't feel like I fit in, I feel isolated. I mean, very sensitive beings, like all of us on this ascension path, are very sensitive beings. Sometimes it may feel that way. Or you may feel misunderstood or that you don't quite relate. And that's okay. That's okay. Shamans in traditional societies used to live on the outskirts of the village because they were different. And they were looked up to because they were different and celebrated, And but that doesn't mean that we can't be even more connected from that high heart space where we realign, right, with our Christ presence, in direct alignment with our I am, and then in direct connection with the infinite I am. And shamans were able to do this and embody this moment by moment. And it's a shift of attention. It's that simple and that profound. And it's about noticing, and as you said, remembering.
Oh my God, this is so powerful. And again, this information is so valuable. All of y'all listening, if you really embrace the concept of the shamanic path and play with your shamanic prowess of what's awakening in you, and to get to the spaces. And again, there's so many tools to get there, like Dana said, visiting sacred sites, breath work, meditation with a candle and the sharp focus, anywhere you can bring your presence and attention into that one spot, into singularity, and focus your innocence.
Yeah.
Without expectation of an outcome, but just being it, it opens up a portal that gives you access to realms that the noise that's happening in our energetic field can't contain anymore. It's a higher frequency, it's a higher energy. No matter what's happening, it becomes subservient to the higher energetic field that is resonating in that presence.
That is so true, John. That is so perfectly said. So true. And it is all about exchanging and extending love, which is the energy, the light that holds the whole universe together. And we exchange it with everyone and every being, and even rocks, and even this chair in my office, and whatever it is, and that's that unit of space you're talking about, where the world that is too much with us out there just simply disappears.
It's amazing. I want to get into the shamanic journey in a little bit, and we're going to get into Q&A. Y'all hang out. I think we're going to do the shamanic journey towards the end of the call. Y'all are going to want to hang out for that. There's going to be some drumming, really a transportation that I heard for you, which is so cool. I get so excited about that space. And of course, I want to get to Q&A and the special offer. By the way, the special offer has a 30-minute session with Dana, plus other modules that you're going to want to participate in. We'll get into that in a second. Before we do all of that, Dana, tell us about this Jewish holiday that's happening today.
Thank you, John, for reminding me. So yes, as we were talking right before the call, I only realized recently that today is the Jewish holiday of Purim, Purim. And I looked a little bit more into it, and apparently the English translation is Feast of the Lots. Okay. So what happens is today is a day of celebration for the Jewish people, of feasting and being in their joy. And this all goes all the way back to the book of Esther. Now, Esther was a Hebrew woman living in Persia in the 5th century BC, and she became the queen of Persia. And she basically saved her people from a genocide that was being planned by an enemy in the Persian court. Okay, so she saved her people, she thwarted this genocide, and she was the queen at that time, and she's become a heroine throughout all time for saving her people. And it really was, it's looked upon as a reversal of fortune, as a deliverance, right, into a whole new reality. And it's fascinating because there's so many metaphors here for us in our current time about, as I said earlier, walking the edge on this precipice of the new, right, that continues to anchor in. And Mother Earth, as we know, is well along her way in the ascension process, and we are all rushing to keep up, and we're doing a pretty good job, you know. And I think we all really need to give ourselves some credit, those of us who have been consciously, all of your listeners, consciously working on behalf of the light, is that we have created the energetic foundation for all these changes to take place on our planet.
Yeah.
And we have been doing it for years. And so Esther, in holding that inner knowing and that standing in her power and drawing the line in the sand, right, where there is a point at which the truth cannot be compromised, and she could not allow the extermination of her people. And therefore, that brought her more fully into her own power. And so we can look at this, as I said, metaphorically, which is about the extermination and extinguishing of an old paradigm, which is the duality paradigm of separation and division. Mm-hmm. As we move into the relational, connective realm of the shaman.
And what a beautiful initiation or ritual to have this remembrance of what's coming up for us, and to bring that into our heart and to make that alive in our experience today, and have gratitude for that emancipation that is taking place as we liberate ourselves from, if you will, the trapped soul, or from the soul fragments that have felt trapped outside of us that are coming back into wholeness through these ceremonies, these remembrances, these initiations, the ownership, the remembrance of what we have access to if we choose to have presence, if we say, come back home, right?
It's all about the choice. Everyone has that choice.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. Dana, I wanted to get into Q&A. So all of y'all who are wanting to ask your questions, raise your hand and we'll go through live Q&A here. We'll take some questions that are coming in through the chat as well. Before we do that, and as I'm promoting some of y'all as a panelist, I've already done that with some of y'all. As we get into some more people, I want to go through the special offer, because it's truly a special offer that Dana has put together. She doesn't offer this anywhere else other than on BTO. So we're blessed at the quality of speakers and the generosity and the access of consciousness that we have in this community. So April, if you would type the link for the special offer in the chat box. And so you can look for that there. You can go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Dana24. It'll take you to that same special offer page. And Dana, if you'll guide us through both packages and let everybody know what they'll be participating in. First, perhaps start with what a 30-minute session with you, what they'll receive, what they can expect.
Yes.
And vibe from Dana and her guides.
Oh, well, that's been one of my joys, is to connect with your listeners. So many beautiful souls. It's such an honor, really, and a joy. In these 30, a lot can happen in 30 minutes. And it is very organic. It's very fluid and flowing, right? Where we open up a space of pure divine light, the two of us. And whatever questions you may have, I tune in, I use my shamanic abilities to travel in my heart and mind to other dimensions, to, outside of space-time, to retrieve information for you that can be healing, And so this assists people to get more clarity on their most pressing concerns, whatever it may be in their lives. People often ask, is there any preparation? No, not at all. Just simply show up in your heart, which all of your listeners are so heart-centered. We connect heart to heart. And there is a lot of magic, John, that does happen in these sessions. There are higher beings of light that come in, you know, guides and angels, and I receive messages. Oftentimes the other individual receives messages and gets more clarity about the way forward for them. So that's what we can do in 30 minutes, which is longer than it sounds.
It's a lot. And y'all, package A typically doesn't include a private session with our speakers. It does with Dana. So the first package, you're gonna get a 30-minute session for $97. Plus there's other modules that are on here, Dana, and guide us through these as well.
Sure, John. Well, this is actually on your two or three, I can't remember how many previous shows. I offered 6 modules from my course, Awakening the Mystic Within, a course in self-mastery for higher living, which is an self-study audio course. And I call that an initiation into the secret teachings of the ages. And this course was downloaded into me. It was spurred by the request of one of my healing clients, and wow, was I taken on a journey into the esoteric wisdom of the ages that somehow Spirit guided me to integrate, to make more accessible, and to put it all in one place so that people could enjoy layer after layer of healing and transformation over and over again without having to search in so many places. So I am offering 6 new modules this time. And in package A, there are 2 of those modules, and they are called Healing the Mind and Healing the Heart. And in there, we go deeply into a lot of teachings and practices from the world's wisdom traditions, cutting edge ascension technologies, healing techniques from masters of healing throughout the ages to assist you in bringing your mind in the first module into a state of clarity, purity, without distraction, so that you can open your third eye more to receive that intuitive inner guidance, which is how the shaman operates. I mean, the shamanic healing is tied into almost everything I do. And then there's the healing of the heart, where we work on expanding the high heart ascension gateway, clearing energetic blockages and distortions, learning how to more fully embody the wisdom of our hearts in our daily lives with esoteric practices, teachings, energy transmissions, activations, all included and very condensed and direct in 80 to 100 minute audios that you can download.
And that's the first package. So again, it's the first package are the 2 modules plus the 30-minute reading. Right. Now in the second package, you go deeper into the 6 course modules, right?
Yes. The second package also includes the 30-minute readings and the 2 modules that I just spoke about, as well as 4 other modules, including the indigenous wisdom of the first peoples, where we go into deeper and further into shamanic shapeshifting, into the indigenous wisdom and practices of the Maya, for example, of the ancient Inca, the Native Americans, and how, most importantly about this course, is that it's all about how do we apply this wisdom and these practices in our daily lives to accelerate our ascension, to advance us into greater self-mastery, to enjoy more love and abundance, and to be more fully in our joy, right? To open to receive all of life's gifts, removing the obstacles to doing that, to more fully embody our higher calling and inspire others to do the same. So there's so many benefits woven into this. And then some of the other modules. So we also have messages from the Ascended Masters. I did a whole retreat in the Grand Tetons. Oh my gosh, talk about a sacred site, working with the Ascended Masters. So their teachings and practices to accelerate our ascension. We bring in Saint Germain and Mother Mary and Kuan Yin, and so many of them, and their energy imbues that module. Then we have the Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, which is really a step-by-step manual of enlightenment, guided by Lao Tzu, the Buddha, for example, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and how we apply that to our daily lives, bringing us into more balance and more peace and more joy. And then what else is, there's another module. We have the sacred wisdom from Atlantis and Lemuria, where we work on healing Atlantean soul trauma, reconnecting with your Lemurian roots to create new earth models for sacred work and relationships and fulfillment, and to discover your own place in the lineage of light that I say births new worlds, because we're all birthing a new world every time we reclaim our ancient gifts and talents and step fully into our true divine power.
So beautiful. Again, such a rich offer. And again, with the 30-minute reading on the packages, and these modules that take you into these different lineages, into this different wisdom that we all have access to now. And it's brought into a modern context. It's upgraded. It may be ancient, but it's evolving through our consciousness as well. And as you take it, as you drink in this nectar, it becomes part of you. You can't help but to embody it. And it shows up in our experiences as we walk it through our different experiences in life. So it's amazing. Take advantage of the special offer, y'all. It's the link is in the chat box. You can get to it by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Dana24. And again, it's $97. That includes the 30-minute reading plus the 2 modules, healing the mind and healing the heart. And then the second package, which is package B, will take you into all 6 of the modules, the private reading, and that's $177. And both carry a 2 payment option on the offers as well. So you have the opportunity to delay the payments a little bit to play with it, if you will. But definitely book your sessions with Dana and take advantage of your time. Again, her ability to be with the energies, to take on and to channel through the messages from this divine inspiration, the different guides that show up. It's truly remarkable. And again, we had rave reviews the last time you were on, and I know it's going to continue. So amazing. Again, the link is in the chat box, and I hope you take advantage of it. Dana, let's open up to Q&A before we get into the shamanic journey. And I'm so excited about I'm excited about everything, because I'm so curious who's asking what on here today. Let's go to our first caller. Julie Ray, let's get you to unmute, please.
Hi.
Hi, Julie.
Oh, nice to connect, Dana.
You too. This is so wonderful. The last time I did phone calls, so I love feeling everyone's energy. Yeah.
I don't have a direct question. If something's coming up, I'd love to hear it. And if you do prefer something direct, I would love to explore if there's more I can or should be doing in supporting my mother as she is aging gracefully.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I can feel your centeredness, Julie, and your joy. And it seems that you're very connected with that. So just you being you and sharing your beauty and your joy with your mother, your presence. This is what's happening now, is that so many of us, as we realign, continue to realign with our Christ consciousness, with our I am, our immortal God presence, it becomes more and more effortless. And you become a healing force through your very presence. And so there's nothing we really have to do, per se, right? It's not, like I always say, it's not about a piling on or an adding on. It's a stripping away of the layers to the awareness of that perfection that already resides within you. And so I have a feeling that your mother is benefiting from your smile, from your beautiful heart, and in more ways than you can know. And probably, does she express that to you in any way?
Yes.
What did she say?
She's massively appreciative. Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our next caller here. Shelly Eagle, welcome. And Shelly, let's get you to unmute, please.
Okay, thank you so much, John, for choosing me. And Dana, I've always loved your work. I really admire your work.
Aw.
And I really do. And you've touched on a few things. So my question that I had to begin with, you've covered in most of the areas, but not surprisingly, my question is, I am very much a hermit. I do not want to go out there. I've been out there most of my life, and I am at a place now where I don't want to. And yet, and I feel like I've done so much inner work. I do work with people one-on-one, but how, if we're not going out there and we're doing our work on ourselves and we've done our work on ourselves, how do we know that we're putting that out to others? How do we know that our work inside is being able to be downloaded or given out if we're not really going out there? Or, you know, as the shamans used to have one-on-one contacts, if we don't want to do that, how do we know? Do you understand my question?
I totally understand, and that is a great question. Thank you so much for being here and your words about my work. You know, it is a matter of course, a matter of absolute fact that the light that you are holding and the love that you are holding is without a doubt transferring from your heart through the planetary grid system, through all beings around you and beyond in ways that you can't imagine. And so, I'm sorry, tell me your name again, my dear.
Shelly.
Shelly, yes, Shelly. So that this is happening, though you feel that you can't see it, right? Because it's your choice. And that is a very valid choice. You're done with that. You don't, need to be out there. Who do you think is holding up this planet? Are most of the monks in the Himalayas who are sitting there meditating in caves, right? And so your contribution is massive. And I have talked to other people like you who say, oh, I don't even know if I'm really being of service, but this is what I do every day. I hold the light, I meditate, I send my love out through the ley lines, through all beings. This is a massive service. And so for you, Elaine, is to trust that that is happening. And
Beautiful.
to use your shamanic power of your inner vision, right? To see it, if you wish, and to feel it through your heart, which is the opening and the allowing, because right now it's like you're being too hard on yourself. Like, I don't want to do this, but I don't think I'm doing enough. But you are absolutely doing so much, and it is so appreciated. And always remember that you are the light of the world.
Bless you.
So beautiful. Shelly,
Beautiful
thank you for
answer.
calling in.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, Elaine.
Blessings.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, let's go to our next caller here. Scorpio, let's go to you. Let's get you to unmute, please. And Scorpio, let me get you to unmute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
We can. Welcome.
Hi. I knew you'd call on me. I feel and have felt called to walk the shamanic path for a very long time now. And I've just liberated myself from some life issues and some controlling relationships. And I'm ready to do this. I already booked the session with for 30 minutes. And I just need a little confirmation that the shamanic path is the one that I should be walking. I mean, I know in my heart, but it's nice to have confirmation,
Yes, Scorpio, I love your name. Yes, and if you feel it in your heart, that is the confirmation, because remember, the shamanic path is the path of the heart. which when we are fully in our hearts, we are truly divinely embodied. You have, what I feel from you is you have a lot of personal power. And it's just aching to be shared with
Yeah.
so many. And so
Yes.
follow that. And I look forward to our call and delving more deeply into this, but you're absolutely on the right path.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
Okay.
Thank you. I look forward to our talk.
But that's for sure. I feel that in you. You
Yes.
definitely are aligned with the shamanic path. Yes.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
calling in. All right, let's go to another caller now. Let's go to Joan. Hello there. If you'll unmute, please. You're still not unmuted, Joan. Yeah, we're still waiting for you to unmute.
I'm trying, but it won't.
There you go. Oh, you did it for a second. Hi.
I did it. Hi, Dana.
Hi,
You were
Joe.
saying that part of your soul is missing. Does that cause the disease in your body, like pain?
Yes, that is the shamanic way and system is that shamans believe that all illnesses, which are really imbalances, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, is the result of the loss of energy, which is often the result of the loss of a part of your soul, which is a fragmentation of the soul. And so the shamanic practitioner travels, as I said, through these dimensions to find those pieces and to bring them back and reintegrate them. So that's a great question.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to talk to you and to be called upon.
Yes, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for calling in. All right, another live caller. Beth, welcome to the call. Let's get you to unmute, please.
Oh, thank you so much, John. I've been following you for many years.
Oh, awesome.
And this is the first time I've done Zoom with you anyway. Thank you for picking me. I feel like I have a lot of potential and I do work with people and do things and I teach movement and I do some meditation with people, but I feel like I'm stopped by going like the next step, which I have been training and doing things for. So whatever you can say about that or anything that comes to you about that or anything else really.
Right. Well, you feel to me to have a really deep healing capacity. So you're already expressing that in your work. And, you know, like so many of us, it's when we feel a certain discomfort. I write about that in my book, Sojourns of the Soul, how I was always creating a discomfort zone for myself. It was not even a choice. And our souls do that to push us through into the next stage, into a higher level of mastery. And this is ongoing. And these, whatever it may feel like discomfort, or you're not quite sure, or maybe you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, right? We've all been there. We've all been there. And we feel that, just that trepidation and that shaking. It's like, oh, what if? But you know what? When you feel that, that is the sign that you must take the leap. Take the
I feel
leap.
right now as you're talking.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely, it's very exciting. I feel that you have so much to give and to share with people and to use your beautiful healing abilities. And that the shamanic path, I think, could help you break through to that next level. And to simply trust even the fear, even the trepidation. Because those
I definitely feel that. Yeah.
Because that is the signal for you to move forward.
Yeah.
And to trust, like I said earlier, I guess it was to Elaine, just simply to trust that you are everything you could possibly be. And take the whip. We all do this, you know, take the whip off the back, you know, like I'm not doing enough. I should be. How come it hasn't happened sooner? How come? We all have done that. And simply to know that just whoever you come into contact with, again, just through your very presence, through all of the deep inner work you've done over these many years, people feel it. Even if you don't know that they feel it, they do. And people will entrain to your vibration, to anyone's vibration who has been on this path doing this deep inner work. And just your very presence is healing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And something that I want to offer to you, Beth, and to everybody on the call as we're talking about the shamanic journey, shamanic initiations, really think of fear, doubt, worry, even scarcity as rather than something that is running the show in us or something that lives inside of us that we don't know how to get out of. If we start seeing it for what it is, which is a shamanic initiation,
Yes.
we can laugh at it. We can go, oh, it's an initiation. It's asking me to cross a gateway into another side, as opposed to this foreign thing that we have no control or power over. But when we start changing the perspective of what those emotions bring up into the truth of what they are, a shamanic initiation, then you have a way through. You realize it, that you can be in the dream and control the dream rather than allow the dream to control you.
Right.
You become a master of your own destiny. And in that, you have the power to change everybody that you come in contact with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful, Beth.
So true.
Blessings on your journey.
So true.
Thank you.
Amazing. So, we've got to get into the journey. Y'all, Dana's special offer, again, the link's in the chat box. Remember, the 30-minute reading, the 2 modules, and package A, $97. It's a steal for that. It's crazy. And the second package includes everything in the first package. It's the full, complete 6 modules from that in-depth course and this interactive experience where you get to experience the shamanic practices, the awakening of the heart, the going into the mind, the different traditions, the ancient wisdom being brought to life and modernized through you. So take advantage of those. Again, 2 payment options on both of them. The link's in the chat box. Yeah. And again, it's a blessing to be able to offer that here on the show exclusively. Dana, let's get into this drumming journey, please. I've been waiting for this. I've been like a kid in the candy store, just waiting.
Right. Okay, well, if everyone's ready, I'm going to invite everyone to close your eyes, which is what I will be doing, and that helps me to go into more of an altered state. So I'm going to take you on a journey within a journey tonight. So let's begin taking a few deep breaths in and out through our heart centers, grounding deeply into your body and into the crystalline core of Mother Earth. As you now travel through your heart center to the high desert of Taos, New Mexico, where I live now. In Taos, it is said that there is a shaman behind every rock. In northern New Mexico, an exquisite land of mystical beauty, you find yourself now walking along the rim of a massive gorge. It looks to you like a mini Grand Canyon. You see the majestic Sangre de Cristo Mountains towering in the distance. And you walk along the rim of this gorge. It appears like a giant gash in the earth. It is a beautiful sunny day. You have such clarity, and you walk with great focus and attention to every footfall upon the earth. And the more that you walk to your intended destination, the more you feel so enchanted by the mystical beauty of this ancient sacred land. And you begin chanting to yourself the words of White Buffalo Calf Woman as she walked upon the earth, a shaman unto herself who offered the peace pipe to the Lakota Sioux. And you say, in a sacred manner, I am walking. With visible breath, I am walking. In a sacred manner, I am walking. With the visible tracks, I am walking. In a sacred manner, I walk. And as you continue this walk, you feel the immense power and the healing energy of the earth coursing up through your feet and your entire body. You are delighted by the warm rays of the sun, the soft caress of a breeze against your face, the call of a red-tailed hawk swooping down around you. You inhale the fresh scent of the sagebrush, feeling its cleansing power. And you make your way, slowly and with great intention, to a medicine wheel located at the rim of the gorge. The medicine wheel is a sacred circle of healing and wholeness. To the Native Americans and other indigenous peoples, this medicine wheel is made of sun-washed desert stones in the form of a simple and elegant circle circumscribing a cross. You now step into the east gate of this medicine wheel, knowing that the wheel itself brings you into a deeper, more intimate connection with the four directions, the four seasons, the four elements, and the cycles of life. And now standing at the east gate, you call upon the spirits of the air, and you ask the spirits of the air to sweep away any remaining obstacles to your purest, most authentic expression. And having done that, you thank the spirits of the air for this blessing. You now turn in a clockwise direction and step into the south gate of the medicine wheel. And you call upon the spirits of the fire to burn through any remaining non-beneficial thoughts, any doubts, fears, and judgments you may be holding in your mind, asking the spirits of the fire to purify your mind. You thank the spirits of the fire for this blessing as you turn and now step into the western gate of the medicine wheel, and you call upon the spirits of the water to wash through you, to wash away any remaining dense, heavy emotions that you may still be carrying, dissolving them in the water, seeing and feeling them wash away. And you give thanks to the spirits of the water for this blessing as you now turn and step into the north gate of the medicine wheel and call upon the spirits of the earth to help you to transmute any remaining density within you as you surrender and die to the old, a metaphorical death, a shamanic death, to all that no longer serves your purest and highest expression. You give thanks to the spirits of the earth for this blessing. And then you walk into the center of the medicine wheel and you lie down in the center the place of the infinite, indescribable all that is, the Tao, the great mystery. You are now lying within it as you prepare to take a shamanic journey to the new earth of our future, 10 years or even more into the future. And you prepare by calling upon your guides or any power animals for their protection and support on this journey. And you may choose to find a vehicle of travel or simply to bilocate through your heart, remembering that the shamanic path is the path of direct revelation where there is no need for any intermediaries. Only your own immortal God presence in alignment with the infinite, with Great Spirit. And then you will take this journey when I begin drumming. And when you find yourself upon the new earth in the future, you will use your shamanic powers of observation to see and feel with your heart, to see with your inner vision. What does it look like? Who are you with? What is your role there? How are people living and relating? Together, now in this moment, in the eternal now, we are going to create and anchor even further and deeper this beautiful new earth into our physical reality, the new earth of divine love, divine wisdom, divine power, of joy, peace, and abundance for all. And so, as I begin drumming, take your journey, and I will call you back. gathering all the information from the new earth that you have retrieved. Begin to travel back slowly from the new earth of the future that we are anchoring, creating together in this very moment. Traveling slowly through space-time, back to the center of the medicine wheel, fully embodied in your shamanic power, in your divine presence, divine truth, as you offer deep love and gratitude to Father, Son, in the heavens, to Mother Earth, the nature spirits, the spirits of the land, the ancestors of the land, the elements, as you return slowly now, taking a few deep breaths in and out through your heart center, traveling back from the medicine wheel, from the new earth, the future which is now, to where you are seated in your own home, your attention fully focused in and through your heart, as you ground deeply into your body and into the crystalline core of Mother Earth. So fully present, so fully alive.
So beautiful. I'm guided to stay here in the dark with just the computer screen lighting this up in this shamanic path today. It's just so amazing. Y'all, we're going to replay this call all weekend long. We'll send the replay link out a little bit later. Come back and tune in, go back on this journey, get back into this wisdom, and remember, remember, remember. So powerful. The special offer again, don't forget, 30-minute session with Dana, the 2 modules in package A, the full 6 modules in package B, $97 and $177 each with 2 payment options. Again, the link's in the chat box. I hope you take the time to dive in with Dana and experience just this and so much more in that 30 minutes. Again, so much can be covered. Phenomenal. Dana, I want to leave it in this. I feel so activated in just this presence that's coming through me in this. And so I want to continue swimming in these currents and invite everybody to do so after you end the call this evening. So with that, Dana, I want to thank you so much for what you're bringing in. And yes, this fortitude of awareness and giving me even more permission to step into that which I know is awakening within me through the shamanic initiation as well. And again, finding all of us through your embodiments. Thank you for what you do to do it.
Thank you so much, John. It's a joy and an honor to be with all of you tonight. Thank you.
It's an honor to have you on the show. And it's an honor to be able to host and to be able to curate this for all of y'all. Thank you so much for your hearts, your love, your wisdom, your presence. I bow to each of you in namaste, and I wish you a wonderful, beautiful evening, whether you're listening live or on the replays.
Much love to all of you.
Blessings.
Blessings.